We'll take first few questions in English and we'll take last two questions in Hindi, one in Kuntal's crumbling Hindi and one by Sunal Mandela. Please raise your hands, identify yourself. I'll start with Saurabh.
Congrats on the win. Could you throw some light on whether this is the last time we have seen you in an India ODI t-shirt?
तू आंसर देगा मैं दूँ इसके लिए PIL फाइल करना मैं मेरा आंसर
Next question, please.
That was the answer.
MS, congratulations on winning. I just want to question, if you do continue to play, on your performance, will you need to adapt to close out innings? Because based on the past performances and some of your past performances, 34 or 42, very close to not getting your team over the line, what will you do in coming matches in the same sort of situation?
Well, if you see, till we don't get a settled 5, 6 and 7, I'll have to bat lower down the order, for which I'll have to slightly adapt. I find it a bit difficult to go in and play the big shot. More often than not I batted after the 30th over, got a chance to, play like 5 to 7 overs and then go in and try to play the big shots. I've always found it slightly difficult, but it's not an easy job. Nobody has found it easy to straight away go and play the big shot. So I think that will be my responsibility, because I don't see any other youngster doing that job. So I would love to bat up the order, but I don't see it happening. So I'll have to maybe do a bit more shift in my batting and adapt in a way that I can straight away go in and try to play the big shot. And it will take a bit of time, I feel. But overall, even in this series, the only opportunity where I could have scored maybe a 40 or a 45 was the last game, where we needed like 80 runs or something. That was a lost opportunity. Other than that, in the first 3 games, the way I batted, I couldn't have done much. If you're getting out in the 48th or the 49th over, you can't get any more runs than what you have. Or the second option is, you try to play not out, which I don't think is the kind of cricket that we want to play. So, we'll try to adapt, but I think that's what my responsibility will be, in the coming whatever ODIs I would be playing.
Question from here, please.
Danny, a couple. One, how much did the last couple of overs of Australia's innings set the course of the game, that you were able to get into 7 runs in the last 2 overs? And secondly, that chase and that partnership you had with Manish, how much is that going to make a difference to his development and being able to handle those kinds of situations?
Well, I think we need to give credit to our bowlers also. We have given a lot of credit to the Australian bowlers when we have lost game, but at the same time, this was one game where I felt our bowlers did a decent job. Umesh had a bad day. He was somebody who went for a lot of runs, but that responsibility was shared by Rishi Dhawan. Though he also went for a fair amount of run later on, but I felt between them it was a very crucial period, because a lot of runs flew at that point of time. Other than that, if you say the other bowlers bowled quite well. Jadeja, Bumrah I felt was fantastic playing in his very first game. It becomes slightly easy for you when youngsters come and perform in the first 5 games that they play. You see a glimpse of what they may become in the coming years if they don't get injured, especially I'm talking about the bowlers. And as far as Manish is concerned, I felt he placed his innings very well. As I said, at times you think playing the big shot is something that you should do at that point of time, but what's important is to realize over here the grounds are very big. If you miss time, more often than not there are chances of you getting out, but at the same time, when exploit it, whenever there's a miss hit, or the grounds are so big, if you hit a good Yorker, more often than not you get a 2, which may not happen on small grounds. So you rely a lot on your running. And when we had this partnership, I actually told him the same thing. The difference was 15 runs, 20 runs. I said, whatever happens, at least 2 boundaries you will get. Both of us batting together will get 2 boundaries. And also, both of us are quick between the wickets, which means we'll put pressure on their fielders who don't have a strong arm or, are not very quick. And ultimately, we'll get those extra runs, that way, rather than always looking for a big shot, a big 6. So I feel when it comes to development of a player, this inning will really help him. But what's important for him will be the fact, he'll have to keep in mind, whatever good things he did in this game, how he really calculated the run chase, and all of that. So, it's good to get somebody who has scored 100, especially batting at number 5. So definitely has a good future.
Vishal.
MS, about the stand with Manish, one thing was your knock, came relatively was sort of a struggle, if I can use that. Did you actually find it tough to score, or was it more like how you prefer to take it to as long as?
No, the wicket was slightly. I think it slowed down slightly, and they were hitting the deck, bowling wicket to wicket line. And the one way to hit that is you have to play a few big shots. But considering the last game, what happened, I was like, I don't want to play the big shot, because if I take that chance, after me there was Gurkirat was there, Jadeja and Rishi was there. So I was like, if I'm finding it difficult, there's no good reason why they'll find it easy. Yes, there was not that much pace off the wicket at that point of time, but the good thing was Manish was set, so we knew once we get going, we can take those extra runs, the doubles and the 3 runs, and that's what will really count. The good thing is, none of us got out. That partnership, kept building, slow and steady. But we knew, if we stay till the end, unless they bowl exceedingly well, we'll win the game.
Sanjeev?
What does Pandya's performance, like looking ahead, mean in terms of the balance of the team, and like you feel he's been a consistent performer in the domestic level? He could have been promoted a bit earlier, like in terms of like couple of seasons earlier.
It's a very difficult one, and that's where the selectors do that job. Because if you frankly ask me today, okay, who's performing well in the domestic circuit, I don't have any clue who's performing well. So, it's all depends on the selector. They are the ones who are, watching the game, the domestic games, the big games, the emerging and the India A and all of that. So, I feel, when there's a chance of, when it comes to selection, what I have been doing, I rely a lot on the selector, especially when it comes to picking somebody who's new. Let's for example say somebody who needs to bat lower down the order. You have to rely on that, on the selectors. You need to have that trust, because they are the ones who are watching them. If they strongly believe, okay, this is an individual who has been doing really well and we need to promote him, we need to give him a chance, you have to, because at the end of the day, all of them are good. They have been doing really well in the domestic circuit. What's important is to see how they handle the pressure in the international arena. Other than that, I don't think we are short of talent. It's just that you have to capitalize. Now that the kind of innings Manish has played, what happens is it gives you those extra 15 ODIs, where you can settle in and start to do what you need to do and adapt to the demands of the game also. Because a lot will also change when you play in the subcontinent. When you play in different venues, accordingly a lot of stuff changes. As of now, it's somebody who looks good at number 5.
Question from here, please.
Can you talk us through Spider-Cam? That shot by Kohli. Looks like
I'm quite a traditional guy. I always felt anything that disturbs the game of cricket, I don't like it. And it all started right from the T20 where, people used to start and they would be like, okay, why don't you wear a mic? Why don't you wear a camera? Why don't you wear... I always feel, there's always need to be a balance, between, yes, it's at the end of the day, it's a spectator sport. It's for the spectators, people watching it on television. But at the same time, we have to make sure, 4 runs can really matter, especially when it's a 310, 320 game, those 4 runs can be very crucial. So, why not, everyone gets penalized. So why not, have a same system for the Spider-Cam? You say, okay, if you get hit, $2,000 per hit. Let's make it interesting, because, if you see, people are striving for more. I will tell you, when you're walking, if you have got out, the cameraman, right goes under your face. In the same way, Spider-Man is, Spider-Cam is right next to you, You have seen players, quite a few of them, they're like, okay, what's happening? Because it also makes a lot of noise, but at the end of the day, it's for the spectators, and, if spectators are not there, cricket won't be played. So it's a mix and match, but $2,000 per hit, I think that's a good option.
Edsham?
Keeper, yeah. You see this win having a bearing on the T20s and change of heart on complete products in domestic cricket?
Not in domestic cricket, I was talking about international cricket, but also what's important is not to get high on, individual performances. What's important is to see, what the youngsters are doing, because yes, Manish batted really well, but I think, we are forgetting about Bumrah's bowling. The very first game he played, he bowled well with the semi-new ball, he bowled well in the middle overs, then he bowled well for us in the death also. So that's the kind of bowlers that we are looking for. He's got the variations, he has a bit of slightly awkward action, because you can't always have a bad game. Same bowlers, they can't always have a bad game. 10 overs 75, 10 overs 80. Because if you want to win games, somebody needs to score those number of runs. And I feel that's where, we have to improve as a team. Every game somebody or the other is having a bad game. They are going for 75 runs in 10 overs, or they are not able to finish their quota of overs, because of which, some of the other part-timers have to complete. They are again going for runs. So that keeps putting a lot of pressure on the batting lineup. Fair enough, if the opposition is batting well, they score 340, 345. What I'm saying is, if you can restrict them to 330 with good fielding and, with taking a few loose deliveries off, I think we can achieve that, because 15 runs after 300 can be a big difference. So it's not about how many you have got it. What is important is make sure you are not going for 20 or 25 or 18 run overs, because that puts a lot of pressure.
I'll take last 3 questions in.
What is this when helping you in the T20 series? Do you think
Well, win is always good. We have been talking about how process is important, but at the same time you want to win games. That's a reality. The process is important because that helps you win games. I would say the last few times that we were here, we lost the series, but at the same time we kept saying give batsmen a bit of time, they'll start doing well. And if you see the top 4-5 batsmen that we have got, they have done well in this series, which means with a bit of grooming, with the kind of talent we have, with a bit of grooming and more exposure, they can definitely do well. I have not seen many series where 300 was scored consistently, and twice there were chances of us chasing down the score, and they did chase down once we scored over 300. So I think it was a fantastic series overall, but I think there are a few areas where we need to improve, especially in these big games.
I'll take last 3 questions in English. I'll start with Chidanand, then I'll go back, and then Chetan last.
I'm tired.
Chidanand.
You would have seen Manish Pandey play in the IPL, and in Karnataka he makes big scores. He's very talented, plays good shots, but there are days when he plays some shots and you think, why did he do that? It was not at all necessary. And so from what you've seen of him, did you expect this sort of innings from him? Did it take you by surprise?
Well, again, I'm not somebody who's very speculative. I like to see what the individuals are doing. A lot of times if you see, whenever people score big runs and then they play a big shot and they get out, nobody asks any questions. But I think the real question is when you go in and when you play the big shot, you get out, whether that is something that needs to be criticized, or people who are set and who need to carry their innings forward. So you have to form that balance, what is needed at that point of time according to the demands of the game. You can't say I really bat this way, that's how I bat, because the real talent is to adapt to the needs of the game, and that's how you develop as players. If you want to serve international cricket for a long time, you have to adapt according to the needs, because every game is different, every condition, the wicket, the bowlers, all of them. So what I saw in today's game, I thought he batted really well, and hope he continues the same way.
MS, given there's 3 T20s up next week and you'll face Australia again in the World T20, how important for the mentality of the team was it to get a win over Australia? I think it's been almost 2 years since you beat Australia across all forms. How important is that for the team's confidence looking forward?
Well, I think we have been struggling when it comes to the team composition. Even the last time when we were here, we didn't have a very good composition. Why we did well in the World Cup was because the bowlers picked up. Our fast bowlers started bowling well. The spinners started doing their job well, and that was the reason, because our batting has always been quite settled. Yes, in between there have been a few away series, where we have made quite a few mistakes, and because of which we have not won games. But overall, our bowling is something where we do struggle. Even in this series, if you see, there were quite a few bowlers who were part of the side. A few of them are new. Few others, if you see, they have not been consistently part of the ODI series, and they have been in and out. That actually puts a lot of pressure on them also. So I feel, as we move forward, we'll have to get aligned as to who are our best, T20 and ODI bowlers, and who are our, test bowlers, and accordingly we'll have to segregate, because the amount of cricket we are playing, we can't have the same bowlers, play in all the different formats, because that will definitely increase a lot of injuries to the players. So that's where, we are looking for a few youngsters, somebody like a Bumrah, who can bowl Yorkers and at the same time has variation up his sleeve.
I'll take last 2 questions in Hindi. Question from Kuntal and then Sunandan bhai.
इंटरव्यू में कहा है कि आज भी गेम के सबसे अच्छे फिनिशर आप ही है, और एक ही बार ऐसा हुआ है कि आप रहते हुए लास्ट ओवर में टीम इंडिया हारा है, लेकिन आज क्या कभी आपको लगा था कि गेम नहीं भी फिनिश हो सकता है?
नहीं, गेम का क्या है कि जब आप अपना प्लान एग्जीक्यूट करते हो, आप मारते हो, फेयर अमाउंट ऑफ चांस रहता है। और एक नहीं 2 बार हुआ है। एक बार अभी साउथ अफ्रीका के अगेंस्ट हुआ है एंड उसके पहले भी 2 बार हुआ था। एक बार राजकोट में श्रीलंका के अगेंस्ट हुआ था और एक बार पाकिस्तान के अगेंस्ट बांग्लादेश में हुआ था। बीच में और भी एक आध हुए होंगे, बट इट्स लाइक सेइंग कि कोई बड़ा शॉट मारने वाला बैट्समैन अगर है, अगर वो आउट हो जाएगा या क्या जरूरत थी, बट जब छक्का मारता है तो सारे ताली भी बजाते हैं। सेम चीज है जब नीचे हम लोग जिस तरीके से बैटिंग करते हैं, तो मेन मोटो होता है कि गेम को जीतना। लोग बोलते हैं अगर 51% भी सक्सेस रेट है तो बहुत हाई सक्सेस रेट है। सो यू हैव टू गिव बेनिफिट ऑफ डाउट। यस, दैट्स माय रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, वो मेरा जॉब है, मेरा रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, आई ऑलवेज टेक इट। But at the same time, there will be times when I won't finish the job because बाकी भी खेलने ही आए। ऐसा थोड़े कि मैं नीचे वहां बैटिंग करता हूँ तो मेरे पे वो टीका लगा हुआ है कि यार ये बैटिंग कर रहा है, जीत गया मैच। इट डजंट हैपन लाइक दैट। आपको अगर कोई अच्छा यॉर्कर डाल रहा है तो अच्छा यॉर्कर डाल रहा है, आप यॉर्कर को छक्का नहीं मार सकते। कई बार लोग बोलते हैं हेलीकॉप्टर शॉट नहीं मारे, मतलब बाउंसर को हेलीकॉप्टर शॉट आदमी कहाँ से मारेगा। यू हैव टू रिलेट टू थिंग्स, हाउ इट हैपेंस एंड अकॉर्डिंगली you'll have to do stuff, do changes to your batting and whatever the demands are again.
Last question sir, on the back.
चारों पहले गेम हम हारे लेकिन अच्छा क्रिकेट खेले थे, लेकिन नसीब का जो चक्कर था वो थोड़ा सा धोखा दे रहा था। आज के मैच में वो थोड़ा सा नसीब अपनी तरफ था। तो ये जो चक्कर होता है क्रिकेट में कि आप कितना भी अच्छा खेलो फिर भी वो जो परसेंट रहता है वो कितना इम्पोर्टेंट रहता है, जैसे आज की।
आई थिंक मैं बाकी स्पोर्ट्स के बारे में तो ज्यादा नहीं बोलूंगा, बट क्रिकेट एक ऐसा गेम है जिसमें लक एक बहुत बड़ा फैक्टर होता है। क्योंकि हम स्टार्ट ही करते हैं कॉइन फ्लिप से, उधर से लक आपका स्टार्ट हो जाता है। जब आप ऐसा देखा गया, जब आप खराब फॉर्म से चल रहे होते हो सारे अच्छे बॉल आपको गिरते हैं। सारा लीडिंग एज जो होता है वो फील्डर के पास जाता है। जब आप अच्छे टाइम से गुजर रहे होते हैं, आपने फ्लिक मारा होगा, गली से चौका हो जाएगा, पॉइंट के ऊपर से चौका हो जाएगा। तो क्रिकेट में काफी ऐसी चीजें जो आप एक्सप्लेन नहीं कर सकते हैं। एंड आई फील लक का जो फैक्टर है वो बहुत बड़ा होता है। स्पेशली यंगस्टर्स को अगर चांस देने की बात की जाए तो इंजरीज हो गई, चांस मिल गया, यू ग्रैब अ चांस, उससे आपको फायदा होता है। बट ऑल्सो अगर सिलेक्टर बैठा है, इंडिया ए का मैच है, इमर्जिंग का मैच है, आपने वहां पे एक बड़ा 150 रन का इनिंग्स खेल लिया, साल में हो सकता है आपने 4 सेंचुरी की हो, किसी ने देखा नहीं हो, बट वो जो 150 का एक इनिंग्स होगा टेलीवाइज हो रहा है, स्टेट अवे वहां से आप पिक हो जाते हो। तो आई थिंक लक इज अ बिग फैक्टर। आज भी अगर आप देखें तो लक जो था कुछ हद तक हमारे तरफ था, अपार्ट फ्रॉम रोहित का डिसमिसल। आई थिंक थोड़ा लक आपको चाहिए होता है, स्पेशली जब आपको टेबल टर्न करते होते हैं। एंड इट्स अ गुड विन, एक अच्छा विन है हमारे लिए, स्पेशली गेटिंग इनटू द T20। अब देखना होगा जो अभी जो T20 के लिए जो टीम है, 3-4 प्लेयर उसमें थोड़े अलग होंगे। हाउ क्विकली दे अडेप्ट, बिकॉज जो 3-4 आए हैं स्ट्रेट अवे दे विल फीचर इन आवर 11। सो अब देखना होगा कि 2-3 दिन में वो कितनी जल्दी अडेप्ट करते हैं। बाकी जो यहाँ पे आई थिंक बैट्समैन आर बैटिंग वेल, इंपॉर्टेंट रहेगा कि हम इसको कैरी फॉरवर्ड करें।
थैंक यू वेरी मच।
थोड़े क्वेश्चन कम करते हैं भाई।
Guys, we'll go straight into Steve Smith.